Hey guys, welcome. Today we are going to get back into this beautiful Blackout journal from Archer and Olive, and we are going to add in our moons of the year. For those who don't remember, I will link the first video up in the corner, and that is when we did our front page here for our Celestial Codex. And I'm going to leave these two pages. I'm not really sure what I want to do with them, but it doesn't lie real flat ever. This is the first page in the signature and tends to be kind of attached to this cover. I may glue these shut, or I may end up putting something in there later, but I'm not going to use this for this particular spread. So this is going to be fairly simple, and I am doing that intentionally. I'm starting with something fairly simple so that we can kind of get into this slowly. Also, this particular spread would work for like a future log or something like that. If you are not doing something where you're tracking or paying attention to the moons of the month and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this white pen. Again, this is a Uniball Signa. I have a full set of these in various colors, but we're going to start with the white. And I am going to make a mark on the page because that's always the scariest thing. So I'm going to have rounded corners. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the rounded corners in the bottom of the page. Now, one of the things that I have done ahead of time, because I do this whenever I have a journal, is I have figured out that this is 32 spaces this way and 46 spaces this way. That should help me figure out where I want to put all of my different marks. So hopefully, if I have counted correctly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can put another corner right here. So if something is 32 across, that means that I can have a block of 10 and a space in the middle, another block of 10, a space in the middle, and then a third block of 10. That will be 32 spaces. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm doing it here on the bottom because if I really, really mess up and I don't like it, I can always come in here and take a black marker and color over it. But I think I'll be just fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to have these be very kind of long, narrow boxes. So that'll give us 6. And we said, how many do we have going from top to bottom? We have 46. So if I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for a header, that should be good. I should be able to. So I'm going to do, these boxes will be 10 wide by 20 high. And that should give me plenty of room here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we will add this in here and then this one here. Now, again, since this is a codex, the main thing about a codex is that it is hand done. So we don't need to have anything, you know, super, like I don't want to take something to make a rounded edge necessarily, because I do want it to feel hand done. So, because I could take an edger, I could take this device and just trace around the edge. But again, this is a codex. We want it to feel handmade. And all right, now let's do our counts again. We'll start over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That should leave us 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it does. So let's go ahead and put our top row in here. And again, when you're doing things like this, turn your page to make it easier for yourself. Don't feel like you have to always hold your page straight. Moving the page can be very, very helpful. All right. So we have got all of our starting lines. We know where our spaces are going to be. Again, if you were trying to do a future log in a B6 book like this would work great. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boxes. So one for every month of the year. In our case, we're doing moons with those, but you could certainly put in anything that you want. I am going to look at my annual sticker book here and see what I have in the way of months. So I do have these months of the year. These are on washi tape, and they have flowers and things like that. I don't think that I want that as part of my as part of this book here. I think I'm going to write them, the months here. So this is going to cause me to be somewhat brave. I am going to take this line that already exists coming off of this corner, and I am going to write with that line. January, and make it connect or look like it's connecting to that other line. So we have January. We will have, for February, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. So we have February. March is an easy one. Now I just need to make the decision of where I want to go. Do I want it to be January, February, March this way, or on one page? And I think I'm going to continue on this way with April. And then we have got May. And June. And then we'll come down here to the next one and do July. I can always make these a little bit longer. And then we have August. September. October. November. And finally, December. All right. So we have our headers. This always works really, really well for a future log. This is something that I have done before, so it's not completely new to me. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this bottom portion of the line for each of the months. And if the pen skips a little bit and you get little marks where it's not fully across. That's part of the charm. But let the pen do that on its own. You don't necessarily need to make those. Depending on your pen, at some point it will skip, it will have elements or times when it doesn't want to go fully. And how do we want to handle our sides here? I think I'm just going to draw the line up. Leave just kind of a little gap. And I do want to be somewhat careful. You'll notice I'm being very deliberate in where I'm drawing. And I'm always going from the top to the bottom because this does take a little bit longer to dry. And I want to make sure that I'm not smearing and smudging. So we're just following the dots, and again, we're not making it perfect. We're not getting out our ruler to do this. This is hand done. And it will look like it's hand done, and that is okay. That's what we're going for here. I'm deliberately not going all the way to the lines on these. We're giving that little bitty gap. One of the reasons being that it's going to be really hard to make it look seamless anyway. Since it's really hard to make it look seamless, why not make it look, you know, have those little gaps and make it look more intentional. So again, if you're doing some kind of future log or you're doing something with the, you know, with birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, special days like that, you can always write your days, names, what have you in here. But we are going to get our purple pen. This is silver, and this is from the Archer and Olive subscription box that we unboxed together. I will link that up in the corner. And I'm going to write in what each of the moons are. So if you are not familiar, every moon has, every month's moon has a name. And so I'm going to write that in. And we're going to make sure real quick over here on our test paper. All right. So this is the wolf moon for January. So you'll see I'm leaving a lot of space, and that's because I'm going to go through and add in some fatter lines just on one side. So that stands out just a little bit more. All right. So January is the wolf moon, and then I have these moon stickers from the night sky color seals. I have no idea where I got them. I have had these for a long time. As you can see, I've never used them. We have some constellations and such. But we have a whole bunch of different moons. So I'm just going to pick a moon and stick it right above where I put wolf moon. There we go. And then we will move on to the next moon. We're going to do this section by section. So we have got snow moon. And I should probably come up here and do this first. And my basic rule of thumb with adding these thickened elements is that you just want to be consistent on the page. So it doesn't even matter if you're consistent throughout the book, as long as you're consistent on the page, it will look good. So I'm making sure, since I did that, that little flourish on the N, that every single time I do an N now, I'm doing that little flourish on the N. I'm adding them at the same place on each letter. So let's take this white, fully white one. And one of the things that I really like about these is that they're all going to look a little bit different because all of these moons are a little bit different. Obviously, the moon is always this, still the same moon. But for like the pink moon later on and the strawberry moon, we can have different, slightly different looks to them. So even though it doesn't actually turn pink or strawberry, we will have some fun with that. So this one for March is going to be the worm moon. And again, we left a little bit of space so we can just kind of add that thickened element to the letters. We haven't done an R yet. Let's put something in there and then maybe a little flare down here. And I'm going to write in all of these and then so that I can select which moons I want. I think these will be fine, but I may want to have them coordinate somewhat. So April is our pink moon. And I gave a little too much space for this one. That's all right. It's really easy to, as you're doing this, to see all the little errors as you're going along. But once you get the full page done, you won't see all of those little errors anymore. The whole page will look good. Just stay consistent and you'll be just fine. All right, so we have our pink moon for April. We have a flower moon for May. So we've done an F over here, thickened that, and a little bit of that on the L. This is our first E. Let's thicken up the base. And then on the R. And moon we've done quite a few times, so we know where all of those emphases are on, I guess. Excellent. And June is going to be our strawberry moon. Now that's going to be quite a bit to write, so we're going to start way over here. I think that's going to be the longest. We haven't had to do quite a few of these different letters before, so I'm just kind of making it up as I go. All right, strawberry moon. And moon should be easy. All right, so for example, we've got a pink moon. I think I'm going to use this as our pink moon. I already know, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. And we'll use this one as our strawberry moon. And let's see, our worm moon. What about this one with some extra colors to it? And the flower moon can be purple. Why not? This is our book. We know that the moon is not changing colors. These are just representative elements. And see, I have aligned it on all of these, so I'm going to go ahead and align these two as well. These stickers haven't been down that long, so I can still move them. So there we go. We have got those all aligned now. And we will go ahead and continue on here. July. Some people call July the meadow moon. However, I have always heard the July moon called the buck moon. So that is what I'm going to stick with. So again, you know, your book, your rules. So this is, you know, my July moon is the buck moon. If you've heard it as the meadow moon and you're following along and doing one for yourself, go ahead and do whatever makes you happy. The buck moon was typically because that's when the bucks are getting their antlers. And so that's why I've always heard it called that. Strawberry moon is because that's when the strawberries tend to be ripe. Flower moon, obviously that's when flowers start to bloom. You've always heard the April showers bring May flowers. So we've got that flower moon. Wolves supposedly howl more in January. So the moon names have their names for a reason. August is the sturgeon moon, and I want to make sure I spell that correctly. There we go. What did we do on the T? We just did a little bit up here. there was a desire on this O to go the other way to kind of balance it out. But again, you want to kind of stay consistent throughout a single page. And so I'm not going to do that, because if you're not consistent throughout the page, that's when people will see. As long as you're consistent, the mistakes aren't going to feel as much like mistakes. They'll look like they were intentional. But as soon as you start to deviate and try and fix things, then you're going to end up with something that looks in and doesn't feel authentic. It feels like maybe it was corrected. So next up, we are going to put the harvest moon. September is our harvest moon. And there we have it, harvest moon. October is the one that we've just had, and this is our hunter's moon. A little too close on this one, but we will make it work. There we go. All right. And November is going to be our beaver moon. And almost done here. One more. We have December. December is the cold moon. All right, so we have all of our moons for the second half of the year. Now we need to choose our little moon stickers for those. So let's see, the buck moon, let's put this one. The cold moon, this one looks cold. Let's get this one in. Sturgeon moon. And let's see, let's put this in as the hunter's moon. Beaver. And this is the harvest. All right. So now we have all of our different moons in. I'm going to be writing a few little correspondences for each one in here, but in the middle part. But we also need to put some kind of header up at the top. So let's see. We're going to get out all of our little stickers and see what makes sense. Or washi, all those kind of things. So these are phases of the moon. I'm going to use those in another spread. All right. Here we go. We could do this. All right. We are making this up as we go along again. So I'm going to put this right in here in the middle, and I'm going to cut it right after this firefly, or whatever it is. And same over here. I'm just going to flip it upside down over here. Put that in there. Just to have some nice sparkles at the top. We're going to take this same silver pen, and I'm going to say and I'm making this quite large. I'm going to go moons of the do all my writing at once so that it's all similar. And then I'll go back and beef up certain areas. moons of the month. Just like that. All right. So we have moons of the months. And we're going to follow that same thing that we did before. We're going to really exaggerate this time. So here, and here. So we're going to really exaggerate on this side, but on the other ones, we're going to kind of double up. So they'll get a little extra as well because this is a header. We want to make it fatter. So we're going to do a smaller doubling over here. And I like the way that looks, so let's go throughout with that. This also is going to enable me to correct some of these little mistakes that I made here. So you see how we're building this out. I'm going to leave this just individually of the, and I have got to be really, really careful because look at, I'm smudging down here. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I have this black redaction marker. This is the kind of marker that you use if you have like personal information that you don't want seen, like if you're redacting a document. So I'm just going to clean things up just a smidge down here in some of these areas where it's gotten a little bit bad, smudging. So I'm just coloring a little bit with this. I don't want to do this too much because this is very much like whiteout. It's not going to be ideal to use, but if you do make a mistake in your blackout journal, this is what you want. You want a redaction marker. So I should probably keep that handy in case I make more mistakes. But what I should also do is just grab a piece of scratch paper and make sure that I cover what I've already written with that scratch paper. So on this side, we've got the single, and on this side, it's going to be much bigger. So this side of the end just gets that single, and then we widen as we go along here. So it gets a little bit wider. And then this gets that flare to it. So with an S, I'm just drawing a kind of smaller S in the middle. Color that in. A skinnier, narrower S, I guess. And let's see what we've, as we're turning this all sorts of directions. Again, your book, but you know, feel free to turn it as you need it while you're writing. I find that helps a lot. You might not, but for me, turning it all around helps me see it as, you know, just objects and not be so paranoid about precision. So again, we are increasing as we go down here, and then we have this flare up here at the top, and it comes out. And we kind of have a flare down at the bottom of the T, just a small one. And then again with the S, we're just going to kind of draw a smaller S in the middle. Narrower. And then color between the two. There we have it. All right, so we have our moons of the months. And I'm going to let this sit for a while. And then I will come back in and fill in correspondences for all of these moons. So for example, this cold moon that we just put in here, this is going to be your time for introspection or reflection and kind of that leading into winter, that time when you're going to be indoors more, things like that. These are all for me in the northern hemisphere. But what I'm noticing is I'm smudging a little bit here. So I'm going to let this sit for a while and then I'll come back to it. So when we go to do the moon phases, I will show you what these all look like filled in. But that is our spread for the moons of the month. And again, you could do something very, very similar for any kind of future log or monthly birthdays, holidays, anything like that. This would work great for those kind of things. I have compiled all of the Blackout Journal pages into a playlist, so I'll link that at the end. If you want to watch, for example, right now, the other video that will be available will be this codex here, the cover page. And we'll continue going through and adding more pages to this as we go. This is our celestial journal. So hope you guys had fun making this. It's a pretty basic spread, but one that is very useful for a lot of different things. So I will see you guys next time. We'll do phases of the moon.